Hello and welcome to Breaking the Barrier, a Western lifestyle podcast highlighting those breaking barriers both in and out of the arena. I'm your host, Rebel Sjeklocha, and I am so excited to kick off season 4 with none other than NFR Bulldogger Jacob Talley. Jacob, thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So, to give people a little bit of context, I'd like to first start out with where you got your start in rodeo and where that desire to compete sort of came from.
Yeah, so I actually grew up playing football. I did not really grow up around rodeo very much. And then later in life, my dad decided he wanted to try. We had been around horses a little bit. My family actually had some bucking bulls, but we didn't ever compete or anything in rodeo. And my dad, they would go watch the bulls and stuff, and he saw somebody he knew bulldog one time. He's like, man, I want to try that. Well, he did, and I liked it, but our coaches were pretty strict. They they ended up kind of making us play just football or track or something where we couldn't get hurt. So I didn't even try it or ride horses until I was almost 20 or right at 20. After I graduated, I went to a bulldogging school in Northeast Louisiana, and I just ended up falling in love with it and kind of stuck. So here we are.
Awesome. Well, it's one thing to decide to start rodeoing, and then it's another to make the decision to do so on the professional level. What kind of propelled you to take that leap specifically?
I'm a competitor. I like to be the best at whatever I'm doing. And so when I started it, it's one of those things I'm gonna go all in just to see what I can accomplish. And I felt like I had a shot to go as far as I wanted to go. And so once once I kind of started figuring out that it was something I would really want to pursue, I went all in on the deal and started practicing every day and staying in the gym and figured we'd give it a shot.
Absolutely. So the competitive edge, I would assume, is pretty similar across all sports, but the preparation piece is very different from football to rodeo, I would presume. How has your preparation changed in terms of the mentality of which you approach it?
So I kind of approach it the same. The hard part about rodeo to me is you have no coach. You have nobody in your ear telling you to be at the gym at 6 a.m. or be at the practice pen at 5 p.m. Whenever you want to do it, you can do it. And if you don't want to do it, you don't have to. So you have to stay really committed to that kind of stuff. So I just treated it like I was playing sports. I still get up and go to the gym. I try and make sure I'm in the gym every day. I'm stretching. I'm in the practice pen. I watch what I eat. It's one of those things where you have to be disciplined because nobody's telling you to. But if you can stay sports related, I guess the way you go after it, it tends to help, or it's helped me at least.
Absolutely. And I'm sure that commitment piece was even more important coming into rodeo later in life. A lot of the top competitors we see, it almost seems second nature to them. Either their parents were really immersed and they were in it at a young age. Did you experience any imposter syndrome or any kind of hiccups along the way coming to it later in life?
Um, no, to be honest, I don't really know what imposter syndrome means. Uh,
Well,
no,
that's a good thing, though. That
no,
means you
I've
can handle
heard that a little bit, but I just focus on what I'm doing. I've always been like I'm not going to look and want to be somebody else or mirror somebody else. Um, I'm fully confident in who I am and what I'm capable of. So if I focus on me and then the things that I'm not good at or the things that I struggle with and really hammer on those, I know I can grow to be whatever I want to be. So I never really paid attention to anybody else. Obviously, I'll pick up things that work for somebody or watch to see how they go about it, but I've never really wanted to try and mimic somebody else. I kind of like having my own style and going about it my own way.
Absolutely. So on that note, who have been some of the people that have been your greatest mentors or people that you really look up to in this world?
So, and I've been blessed to travel with some great people. I got to travel with Luke Branquino in 21. Currently with Tyler Wagasback, and I've traveled with Will Loomis. So it's been guys that have accomplished a lot. And then even like Justin Schaefer, and he's having a great year this year right now. And I've picked up stuff from everybody I've been with and travel with. Um, it's you are kind of who you surround yourself with, and so no matter what, they're going to rub off. So I've always tried to be next caliber on the people I travel with, and the ones that want to go about it the same and take it serious like a job, and not just go play with it all the time.
Absolutely. So what I'm hearing from you is commit and surround yourself with good people, which I think has to be a recipe for success
Yeah,
every time. So
absolutely. That's right.
you've been around the pro rodeo scene for a while. Which rodeo is your favorite to attend, and do you have one memory that stands out in particular?
Um, Obviously, everybody loves the NFR, but outside of that, like my favorite's probably Fort Worth. I always love going over there. Houston's cool. I like the big building rodeos. One that stands out to me, I won the American in 21, and that was unreal. Like to go to a stadium, something that big with that many people, that's a pretty cool deal.
Does your mindset change at all when you're riding into a big stadium like that as opposed to a small town arena?
Mindset, no, not really. I would prefer it to be bigger. The bigger the situation, bigger the stadium, more people. I like that better. I feel like I do better under pressure. I like having people. Sometimes it's hard to go from something that big to something small when you're kind of hitting little ones in between. But you just look at it the same. You kind of pretend like you're in the practice pen every day. It's your job. You just go do your job, no matter how big or small the arena is. And if you could take care of business at all, it tends to help you, whether they're big or little.
For sure. Lots of people have a routine before they shoot a free throw. Do you have a specific pre-run routine or rituals that you go through every time before you compete?
I actually do not. I'm not superstitious at all. I really don't have the same routine. I kind of just go in. I mean, I find out what I have and do a little research on the steers that I have. But outside of warming up horses and finding out what I have drawn, that's about it.
Mhm. So qualifying for the Wrangler National Finals Rodeo is a dream that very few people turn into a reality. With 5 qualifications under your belt, what are the biggest things you've learned from competing on such a large stage?
You tend to always take something away from it when you go out there. I feel like my first year I was out there, it was just kind of a whirlwind. It was like a blur. I didn't know what to expect, and everything happened so fast. And you just same as your career goes on, you mature every time you get out there and learn a little bit. But the thing I learned is at the end of the day, it is another rodeo. I know what it is, but if you can get yourself so worked up and so nervous and look at the lights and the people and what's at stake, or you can take a breath, step back, and go do your job out there. And that's kind of what I've learned the last couple of times I've been there is what I do in that arena doesn't define me as a person or a competitor. I prepare, I do the best I can as long as I honor God and make sure I'm honoring my family and I can touch somebody's life while I'm out there. I don't let outcome define me out there. So at the beginning, it was I got to win, got to win, got to win because we're here. And now I'm blessed to be there. Obviously, I want to win more than anybody, but that doesn't define me as a person. So it almost helps you to take a breath, step back, and just go at it as just another rodeo and take it as it comes.
Absolutely. So, like most rodeo athletes, you've had your fair share of injuries. Walk us through those and your mentality each time when it came back to healing and coming back competitive.
Yep. So really, I've been pretty lucky. I've only been injured that took me out one time. I tore my pec in 2019. I had to have surgery on it, and I kind of went about it the same way I go about rodeoing or anything else. Like I was aggressive when I came back. I wanted to shorten the timeline. They told me it'd be 6 to 8 months before I could bulldog again, and I tore it in California at the rodeos out there, and it was 11 weeks. I was supposed to be up in Calgary, and so I kind of got it in my mind that I was gonna work at it and do everything I could to come back and compete up there. And so I changed the way I ate. I cut out anything that slowed down soft tissue regrowth, and I added stuff that I normally wouldn't eat that made it grow back faster. And I was in the gym twice a day. I was doing therapy every day, and I ended up coming back at 11 weeks to the day and competed at Calgary and ended up winning second up there that year, and then finished the rest of the year out. So, but luckily, that's been the only thing I've actually had to take time off for.
Awesome. I think it's fascinating just the new focus, not really new. I mean, it's been around the last few years, but the increasing focus on health and wellness, and really treating your body like an athlete. I think when a lot of people think of rodeo athletes, they picture the Marlboro Man, which may have been true 30
That's right.
years ago, but not so much today. on a day-to-day basis, especially when you're on the road and it's more difficult to do so, how do you make sure you're taking care of yourself?
So, and that is very true because when I first started, like the gym was kind of irrelevant to everybody, and I kind of stayed in the gym from when I was playing football. I never really quit going, and so it was kind of weird for people not to be doing that. But I always pack around weights with me in the trailer. We try and go to a gym every day. Like I'll try and at least work out 6 times a week doing something and give my body one day to rest. But I'll kind of keep it to a Monday, Tuesday, or heavy cardio, heavy lifting. Wednesday will be a maintenance workout day. And same thing, Thursday, Friday, heavy cardio and lifting. Saturday would be a good maintenance workout, something to get your heart rate moving, but stay flexible. Um, and I believe that is why I've not had very many injuries when the sport gives out a lot of them. I try and stay flexible and in shape, but not too tight. I guess it's one of those things where I think you can sit in a truck all day and go rodeo, and then something can happen pretty easy if you're not moving. So if I cannot get to a gym, I at least pack around some weights or something where I can at least move and stretch and lift a little bit at the trailer without having to go find something somewhere.
Absolutely. So this wellness piece of rodeo has really grown a lot and changed over the last few years. But how has professional rodeo in general changed since you first got your card?
It seems like it's gotten bigger. Uh, when I first got mine, there were big rodeos and big money, but now it seems like the money's getting bigger. Some of the stadiums are getting bigger. They're building more stadiums or adding new events that you go to. So I do feel like it's growing. It seems like the kind of number of people are staying the same, but rodeo in general is progressing. And so the only thing that changes now is everybody looks so young when I get somewhere, and now I feel like I'm the old person.
So with all this growth, what kind of things or what kind of changes would you like to see happen in the next few years?
To me, if we're going to be or progress as a professional sport, I would like to see to where it cost us less money and maybe have to rodeo less but make more money. And I'm grateful for everything we get to do now, but we have sponsors that help us and everything else. But as athletes, we pay our own way, we pay an entry fee everywhere. And as everything gets more expensive to go, money should go up a little bit to make it easier on us to go. Sometimes if you have a family and kids and a wife and stuff to take care of at home, it gets a little difficult.
Yeah. So on that vein, you obviously need those tactical skills to compete well in the arena and do your job. But really, to be a professional athlete these days in rodeo, you have to have a plethora of skills outside of the arena that allow you to be successful, whether that's gaining sponsorships, knowing how to enter yourself. Can you, in your opinion, what do you think those most valuable skill sets are?
Um, Entries are definitely hard. It's kind of an art form to enter. You're not guaranteed to get up when you want to, anyways. But if you just kind of wing it, it can get a little difficult. You actually got to do some planning and mapping and try and get up the right way and have kind of a contingency plan. If you don't get up the right way, to how to change it to make all your rodeos work, because you're wanting to get to as many as you can. Obviously the big ones, but if you get put up the same day or if a drive, I mean, if you got 6 hours to make an 8 hour drive, it's not going to work. So you kind of got to do some mapping and planning. And that's one that took me a little bit to figure out is I can't just look in the book and say, okay, yeah, this is big money. This is big money. I'm entering them both. And however it works out, it works out. Like you actually have to plan a little bit. Outside of that, I think practice, stay in the practice pen, stay in the gym. They're the same things we talked about earlier. It's if you're going to do it for a living, you're going to have to treat it that way. You can't just go home and pick it up when you leave again. Like it's something I work at every day. And if you're going to fully commit and that's going to be your job and that's how you take care of your family, I'm going to stay in the gym, stay in the practice pen to make sure when I get there, I'm more prepared than the next person.
Certainly. Give us a recap of your 2024 so far and some of the goals you have for the rest of the season.
24 has been pretty good. It started out pretty quickly. We ended up winning San Antonio. I did good at some of the winter rodeos. Um, Obviously, my goal right now is to win a world title. That's where I've been at. I've made the NFR. I got good horses. I have pretty much everything I need to do it if I can just go do my job. And so I just am going to work at it as hard as I can, make sure I'm out working everybody else. And then if it's my time and that's God's plan for my life, that's my goal, is to try and win a world title this year. But obviously we got to get qualified for the NFR and get there first, and then just see what happens.
One step at a time, for sure.
That's right.
So, as we know, rodeo is not a sport for the faint of heart. What advice would you give someone looking to give rodeo a try, or someone who is likely in the same shoes you were in post college?
Um, Find somebody that knows what they're doing first off. If you can go somewhere to a school, if you're trying to get started somewhere, if um, find somebody that's competing today that can help you get in touch with people that just you're learning from the right people. Excuse me. It's pretty easy to say I want to start something and go try and do it on your own, but you got to find somebody with the knowledge to start it. And then the second thing is mentality. You can get down on yourself pretty quick. This is not something that comes overnight. Like it's hard. And if you're not winning, then you can get short on money or short on time. Like, it's pretty easy to quit. You just got to stay committed, is my deal. Like, don't get frustrated. Be confident in yourself, work hard every day, and then surround yourself with people that can help you. And that's one thing about rodeos. People want to try it, but we talked about that earlier. No coach, nobody telling you to be here at a certain time. Like, it's all on you. And if you don't get it right away, a lot of people are like, it's not for me. But it's something that if you work at, you can get out whatever time you'll put in.
Absolutely. So a question I like to ask all the guests on the podcast, what is the best piece of advice that you have received that you'd like to pass along to our listeners? This episode has already been full of great nuggets of wisdom, but I'm always curious.
Let's see. Mine would probably be the mentality thing. When I went to that school, the very second day we were there, like, it was just a weekend school. The man's name is Tom Carney. He does a lot of bulldogging schools all over the country. A lot of people that have made the finals have learned from him. And he said, you can go as far as you want to go as long as you believe you can do it. If you put your mind to it and whatever you're committed to, you can accomplish. And I've always felt that way about myself, and especially starting something new that I wasn't familiar with. I thought, well, maybe, but it is true. If you can stay committed and actually put your mind to something and not give in to, you're always going to be attacked by those little thoughts that I shouldn't be here. I didn't grow up doing this. These people spent their whole life doing this. Like, why am I any different? If you can push all that out and believe that this is what you want to do, you've been blessed with the opportunity to do it, and just always attack it. I think you can accomplish what you want to. And that always worked for me. I always believed in myself, and I was told that I could do it right from the very beginning, and I never doubted that. And I feel like that's why I did have the success I did as fast as I did.
That's pretty cool. Well, is there anything that we
Yeah.
haven't touched on today that you'd like people to know, either about your rodeo career or just about you personally?
No, I'm good. That's been about it. I mean, it's been pretty simple. The injury was just the one. I did take a year off in 22. My wife was pregnant and sick and couldn't travel or anything, so I just kind of stepped away for a year. 23 year. Yeah, it was last year was our first year back after all that. So
Yeah.
that's outside of that. That's just been the same thing.
I mean, for people unfamiliar with rodeo, when you're on the road, you're spending much of that time away from your family if they're not traveling with you. How have you worked to balance being on the road, but also showing up for your family at the same time?
It's hard. It's hard to be away in bulk, especially the summer.
Mhm.
Like, most of the time in the spring and winter, I can drag them around with me, and my little
Mhm.
boy's getting old enough now where he's loving it.
Getting
That
into
gets
everything.
to interact a little bit. Uh, yeah, but in the summer, I mean, when you're gone for 2, 3, 4 months, depending on where you live, it's difficult. I try and get back to home as much as I can, or fly them out for a little bit. But when you look at it in the big scheme of things, if I was at a normal job every day, I'd be away from 8 to 5 or whatever it would be, 5 days a week. Plus that about rodeo, and I get to spend a lot of time at home in bulk, but it's a lot of time away in bulk. So you just got to kind of not get discouraged when you are away, and know that you are supporting your family, and as long as they're okay with it and you're doing what you're supposed to take care of them first, I think it's okay.
Fantastic. Well, Jacob, thank you so much for giving us some of your time today. We'll definitely be following along with your success the rest of this season and wish you the best of luck.
Cool. Well, thank you for having me.
All right. Well, that'll do it for this very first episode of season 4 of Breaking the Barrier. As a reminder, all previous episodes are available on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, and we'll catch you next time.